Hey guys, it's Sunday night. Thanks for joining us. I'm Ken Arnold and my buddy,
Tommy Weber.
and we're here with Pro Prep Baseball. We're here to talk about baseball, have some fun with it, talk about some drills tonight. Tommy, I'm excited about that. It's always good to pass along what we learned in the 1,000 years that we played, and the 1,000 years ago, and the thousand
Feels
years
like
ago.
that.
Yes, and the thousand
Feels
years
like
ago.
it sometimes.
Sometimes. It feels like, you know what it feels like? It feels like it was yesterday, and then it feels like it was 1,000 years ago, and then it feels like it was yesterday. All right.
Yeah, it feels like yesterday to me. But then when like somebody recalls like a pitch that was thrown to them in 1986, I think to myself,
What?
okay, yeah, all right, maybe it was a long time ago. You really got to get out more.
Yeah,
That 2-2 pitch that a guy threw you in '87. Like,
there was
okay.
I went to
Oh, man.
a mini reunion with some guys from high school not too long ago,
Right,
and
right.
what this guy just shows up and he starts talking about this pop up that was hit down the left field line. He was playing third base, I was playing shortstop, and
Dude, I get that a lot.
and he's telling me that he goes, "You were yelling at me, and then I missed it, and you were pissed that I missed it," and I'm like, "What? I don't even remember. I don't even remember that."
Yeah.
I
When
said, "I'm
guys
sorry."
remember,
I
it's one thing to remember
apologize.
something you did.
Yeah,
It's one thing to remember something you did, but it's another thing when you remember what I did.
Yeah.
like, dude, I don't remember that. Why do you remember that?
how do you remember? I didn't.
33 years ago.
Yeah, that was in 1987.
Yeah. All right. Come on.
I'm like, oh my God, how do you remember that? I didn't remember that. And I apologize for yelling at you, I guess. I don't know. Maybe you should have caught the
Yeah,
ball.
you wrecked my life. I was
exactly.
never the same after that. Okay, dude. All right. You don't know where I live, do you?
Good, because I'm leaving right now. And why are we having this conversation? That's all I want to know. So anyway, I had a good week. I was down in North Carolina. That was fun. Not thinking about baseball at all. I didn't watch it. I
That's
didn't.
fun.
Oh my God, it was nice. I just hung out with my kids. We went to the beach. We played mini golf. We went to the pizza parlor. We had ice cream. It was fantastic. I didn't worry about baseball or nothing. Because this week coming up, it's back to it because we got fall baseball coming around. And then we have to have our meetings with all the coaches and discuss how we're going to do it. So that's coming
Fall
up this
baseball.
week. Fall
It's
baseball.
August 1st.
Yeah, that they're planning now, Tommy. Planning now
Oh.
for
Okay.
we start practices the week last week in August, and then we start games the first week of September. It's only one game a week.
So,
It's one game a week. It's a Sunday game, and then it's one practice a week. So it's not like it's heavy. It's not like it's a lot. So it's not that bad. So could you
Yeah, I mean,
imagine?
why bother playing in August? All you have is hot days, and I mean, why would you do that?
I don't know.
But
I don't know.
I digress. I don't want to alienate everybody, but
Exactly. So, did you see the good news? The good news. I'd like to congratulate Anthony Esposito on becoming an FDU. Let me bring this up and see here. A Fairleigh Dickinson University. What are they? Scarlet Knights.
They are.
Yeah.
No, they're the Knights. They're the Knights.
They're the Knights.
Scarlet Knights is Rutgers.
Okay, the Scarlet Knights, and they're the Knights. So let me bring this.
I think
picture
every
up.
team in Jersey has to be named the Knights.
The Knights.
Scarlet Knights, Knights of the Round Table, Starry Knights.
There's his picture right there. So he's
I
standing
know
on the
that
logo.
kid. I know that kid.
I know you did. Congratulations to him for moving on to his the college he's going to play for, Division One.
Yeah, new coach.
Are they still in the Northeast Conference? That's my question.
Yes, they are. They are. And the Northeast Conference just got another team. Merrimack went Division One, so they're now going to be in the Northeast Conference. And I've worked a lot with Anthony, and he's really grown as a player and a person, and really excited to hear the news the other day. His father called me. I thought the house was on fire. He gotta call me.
Well, it's good. He's
Just so
excited,
everybody
man.
knows, so that everybody knows, Dean played for me. I mean,
Yeah.
Dean was one of my, as you know, one of my players at Widener College. So
Sure.
I get to make fun of Dean the rest of his life. That's what I get. That's what we do. But yeah, I've worked extensively with the kid. I tell you what, he physically matured and obviously emotionally, like all kids do, and got himself into really good shape, which was one of the most impressive things that he's done over the last 2 years. And he really has worked very hard. He's put a lot of time in the cage. We've worked really hard together. He's grasped some concepts that, my pro players work with. And good for him. I'm really happy to see that he's going to go to a program where he's going to play right away. And as I said to Dean, the bottom line is go where you're going to enjoy it the most. And I think he's going to have a lot of fun there. I really do. It's a hitter's ballpark, as you know. It's the same ballpark.
Mm-hmm.
They've got field turf, so it's a place where you could play a lot. You're not going to get a lot of rainouts, that's for sure. And I think he's just going into his senior year, so he has a whole year to develop even further. And by the time he gets to FDU, I think he's going to be ready to hit the ground running.
I've seen Dean. They came down and played a tournament down here last year, and I got to see him play. And the kid, he looks a lot like his dad. He plays the game like his dad played the game. He's got a swing just like his dad. He looks like his father.
Yep.
And he moves like his dad. And I saw him hit a bomb like his dad. So, he just turned on the ball and won the game. It was the ninth inning, and he hit a game-winning home run walk-off. It was fantastic. So I'm very happy for him. I'm happy for Dean. I'm happy for the entire Esposito family. Congratulations, guys. I can't wait to get a chance to come and watch you guys play, whether it's against Wagner or, I don't know, are any teams down here anymore? Mount St. Mary's still in that conference?
Yes.
So
yes.
Then I will try to get out and see those games and try to make those games because they're always fun. Mount St. Mary's. I don't remember that being a hitter's park. I thought that was
No, that's a tough park.
Yeah,
that's a tough park. A lot of foul territory.
Size. Yeah,
and a lot of foul territory.
So LIU, do they still have a team in the Northeast Conference?
LIU actually did something very smart. LIU took all of its spring sports and transferred them out to Long Island to CW Post. So now LIU baseball plays at the CW Post field and recruits at CW Post, which is a beautiful campus. Very, very smart move on their part.
But what happened to CW Post team? Do they not exist anymore?
See you later.
See you later. See you, CW Post. See you later.
How long have you been at CW Post, not counting this afternoon? Because it's over.
Not there? It's over. There's no over. CW Post, period. Is that what you're saying? There's no...
there was always a CW Post. They were both Long Island University. One was the Brooklyn campus. One is the Post campus.
Okay.
So now at the Post campus is... I think everything is Division I now. There's a...
Okay. Whoops, I lost him. He froze up on me. Let me bring him back. All right, I got to disconnect him and add him back in. All right, I got you. Yep, I got you.
So it's all Division I now, and they were very smart. As you know, forever they had that, really rigged up facility in Brooklyn, which they made the most out of, but it certainly was less than ideal. And having two campuses, two different athletic programs, they condensed it, and I think it was a very, very smart move on their part because you'll recruit to Long Island. It's hard to recruit to Brooklyn, but you send a kid out to the CW Post campus on the Gold Coast of Long Island, and it's very hard to not be impressed. It is beautiful out there, so I think it was a smart move. So that's where LIU is.
Yeah. Whatever happened to the field that LIU played on in Brooklyn? Did somebody buy that?
It's now the soccer field.
It's now the soccer field. Okay.
It always was the soccer field.
Yeah.
It always was the soccer field, but it was, they put a backstop in, and if you hit the ball over the right field fence, it was a double, except past a certain line, it was a home run. And,
yes.
it was.
There were a couple things that I remember about that field, other than the Carl Feldman home run that got stuck in the top of the fence. You couldn't see first base from shortstop because it was in a hole.
Right.
So,
the field was like tilted. It was It was that old-fashioned drainage, and first base was on the bottom. The field arced.
Yes.
First base was where the runoff was. So if you were at third base in the hole and you looked up,
you couldn't see
you saw the first baseman's chest. I'll
looked
tell
like
you
he
a
was-
good story. I'll tell you a good story. One of my first games, not one of my first games, but after a long night at Wagner College, we were playing at LIU. No, it was a long night. There were a lot of them. And we were playing at LIU. And I think you might have been playing. It might have been right around 1990. That was prime late night. Oh, boy. Oh, man. So, anyway, like nobody wanted to be there. It might have been towards the end of the year or whatever. And the dugouts, if you remember, anybody who's been at LIU, the dugouts are only, the third base dugout, which is where the visiting team occupied, was only about 8 feet from the foul line. Literally, maybe 10 feet from the foul line.
Absolutely.
Right? So now, as the third base coach, I've got to work my way down the line to get guys in. Well, I got a guy, I forget who it was, but a guy was on first, gets a ball in the alley. So now I'm watching the play develop, and I back up. And my bearings weren't great that day. I back right into the steel pole of the fence of the dugout. Now I know what I'm doing, so I'm not sure if I'm concussed. But I don't want to go down on my knees, and I don't want to have an ambulance come to the field. So I pretty much look like that's where I want to be, pinned up against the fence, pancaked.
And then you're still waving
trying
him in.
to wave my arm around. Oh, my God.
Wait, what fared better? Your head or the pole in that situation?
The pole, obviously the pole. But although my head can do damage because of its size and immense mass.
That's what I'm saying.
The rest of my body is no match for a steel pole that's poured into concrete.
Oh. That's insane. That field was insane. Like you had to keep your bag away from the fence because the kids would come and steal their stuff.
Right. It was nuts.
They would grab it right from under and run down the street. There's nothing you could do about it. And they would throw stuff out of the buildings because there was a dorm right there. Yeah.
Over the first base dugout was like a high-rise / dormitory. Mm-hmm. And when they weren't, screaming at you, they were throwing stuff at you.
Which
was really...
It was a fun place to play. And, of course, you could never pop out there either. Ever. You could never hit a pop-out.
Ever. I'll tell you one thing. I'll tell you what. If you played there, you had to hit 370 because there was no foul territory, and you could not hit a pop-up. Like, there were... I don't know if I ever saw a pop-up. The first baseman came in between the first baseman and the catcher and caught because the overhang made sure that none of those pop-ups made it up into the air. It was just really an incredible... And you know what? Juxtaposed against the sanitized conditions that players play under today, the fields are unbelievable. They're perfect. Who's got perfect field turf and dugouts and Gatorade and, they've got everything. It's amazing. You tell people, and people don't believe you when you tell them, and it became field turf much later on. When we were there all those years, it was terrible dirt and grass, which they did not maintain very well.
It was like they let cows run out there right before the game.
Well, the soccer team was running on, using it, and the girls' softball team was in right field. It was a disaster. It was such a... When I heard they were doing what they're doing, I said, good for them. I salute them. It's the smartest thing they've ever done is to get out the post with the baseball team.
Yeah, and of course, Rob Leary led the country in hitting that one year. The first baseman they had.
They've always had guys with gaudy offensive stats. Always.
Yeah. And what was the shortstop's name? Ciro? Ciro.
Yes.
Ciro.
Yes.
He was good. I liked him.
Very good. Tall.
I thought he was a very good player. That guy. And I was always shocked that he didn't do more. Like, he didn't get... I don't think he signed. And I was very shocked by that. Because
I think he might have signed and then,
he played a year or two?
And that was it. I don't even think it was 2. It was like one summer and he was done.
I thought he was
really
good.
I mean, he was good. They had a lot of good players. I mean, look, if you go to a place where you can hit 400, you're probably going to be attracted to go there.
Why not, right? Well, guys went to Wagner, too, for that reason as well, the right field fence. Venezia, Esposito, all the guys had an advantage. And to be honest with you, after all these years, I still want to kick Hayne in the ass for not letting me hit left-handed. So I
Well, you
wanted to
wouldn't be
hit,
able to find him.
I wanted to hit left-handed. So
You'd have to
and
go.
he-
You'd have
and
to
he
go
wouldn't
into
let me.
the. You'd have to
So-
go into the woods in the Appalachians to find Hayne now. All right, let's get to it.
All right, man. So you sent me those videos, and I've got them lined up here. And
So
what I'm-
let me put the videos in context.
all right. So
So
do you wanna
technology has made it like, as you know. I mean, I have to tell everybody out there. This is look what we're doing here. You couldn't do this 10 years ago. So
yeah.
rather than having a lot of conversations, which I do with all my players, a lot of my pro guys, and my guys that are strewn all across the country. Now, guys ask me for help, and I say, I thought to myself, I was texting guys a lot. And I said, wait a minute, what am I doing? This is ridiculous. So now I send them video messages where I speak to them, and then I have a record of it, and I keep all these videos, and I refer back to them, and I refine them, and what have you. So it's really been pretty good. They love it. Guys love when you're talking to them. It really helps you to connect with your players and to get your point across. It's just like anything else. I'm frustrated when I get texts from people and I want to have a conversation. Text is fine. Hey, I'll be there at 2:00 or whatever. But when you really want to have a conversation and convey an idea or a thought or a feeling, there's nothing like face to face.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And like you said, you can do live, you can do FaceTime, you can do all that stuff.
Yep.
And it's really good to do. You can watch what they're doing right as they're doing it live, and you can give them feedback right away. I love the new app, the Coaches app, that you videotape them right there, and then you can draw on it what you want,
Oh, wow.
circle the area you want. You can record your notes, and then you can send it to them via text or email. So if you don't have that app, Webbs, take a look at it. It's like $4.99 or $5.99 for the app, and you can do all that stuff. And I use it quite a bit with some of the players that I have as well. That way, I can videotape them during practice. I can go back, look at the video once I get home, do my stuff, record my notes, and then send it back to them, and then they can watch it when they're.
And then they also always have it, and they can always refer to it.
Yeah,
It's great. So that was the genesis of this. It's not like it just came out of like my relationship with these guys. How do I, they want me to keep in touch. Well, how do I do it best? So I came up with this idea.
All right, so let's go with the first one. This is one of the ones you sent me on fielding position and we've talked about this. You've heard it since you were a little kid. Get your butt down, right?
Yeah,
Incorrect. Incorrect.
Yeah.
Incorrect. All right, here we go. I'm going to play the video.
That's great stuff. So remember what your default tendency is. Your default tendency is like most guys, because they learned the game at an early age, where people said get low to the ground. So what do you do when you want to get low to the ground? Most guys go like this and get into almost a catcher's position, right? What happens is the weight gets back, gets on your heels, your hands get too close to you, and you become a grabber of the ball as opposed to a deflector. I want you to work on what we did last year, which is get into that sprinter's position, right? Where my back is flat and my hips are almost higher than my head, that Jeter position. Because what that does is it forces you forward and towards the target, and it gets your hands out in front of you, easier to be a deflector rather than a grabber of the ball. So I want you to be cognizant of that and to know that you don't want to sit, you want to be pitched over the ball. That's a much better look, okay? Next, throwing the ball.
All right, so that was the fielding position.
Yeah. Well, first and foremost, the more I do this, the more I realize it's about how you move, and it's not really about baseball. I mean, it's how you move with a glove in your hand, or it's how you move with a bat in your hand, or it's how you move with a ball in your hand. So if we're not talking about moving, I think it's part of the reason why kids don't improve as much as they should, is they don't move enough. They practice, but they don't practice how to move, and then just put the glove in their hand and make it incidental. So with my players, I want to make sure of a couple of things. Number one is that they're in great posture. What posture are you supposed to assume in order to best field a ground ball, or to hit, or to pitch, or whatever it might be? And it's something that's really ignored. And if you watch all the great fielders, nobody gets their butt down. Matter of fact, they all look like sprinters. Their butt is actually high, and their head looks up and kind of peers out, and they pitch forward because you're eventually looking to throw the ball ahead of you. And also, what being pitched forward does is it gets your hands out in front of you naturally, Too many times you'll see a kid with his hands stuck out in front of him very rigidly. Well, that's not a position from which you could move too well. So it creates also an ease with which you can deflect the ball rather than catch the ball. If you're really panicked, you'll catch the ball. But if you're looking to do something with a thrown or batted ball, you'll deflect it. Your hands will move. Your hands will not come together unless you're trying to catch a line drive for a third out or something like that. So it's really critical to have kids sort of unlearn some of the things that well-intended people have been telling them their whole lives, like catch the ball in the pocket of the glove, get your butt down, get low. You do want to get underneath the ball, but you want to get underneath the ball by having your back straight and your hips high so that you're moving through the ball. Yeah, so that's kind of what that video is about.
Yep, I hear quite a bit when I'm out on the field, when a ball goes between a guy's legs or, what's the first thing you hear somebody yell? A parent,
get your butt down.
Get your butt down. Yeah. Well, that's incorrect. So what I teach them is when we get them into a stance and we get them into their fielding position, you call it the posture, your posture, right? When you get into your posture and you maintain that posture, your butt stays up. You bend your knees, your butt stays up, and then you hinge from your hips, and you stick your butt out and back so your back stays flat, and you hinge and get your hands out in front, and that's how you get your head lower to the ground. Your eyes...
Right, you're teaching the correct way, because what you're teaching is a foundation.
Yes. So
you're not telling them to put their back flat. You're not telling them to put... What you're doing is creating a position so that all of that stuff happens naturally.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to do.
And that's great.
Some of them have the strength to do it right away and have the flexibility to do it right away, and some of them do not. Yes, and some of them do not. They don't have that core strength yet to do that and get them in the proper position, and it takes some time. And you have to be patient with players. Instead of yelling at them to get their butt down, right? You've got to work with them. You've got to work on their flexibility. You've got to work on their core strength. You've got to get them drills.
Fun.
No,
it's not fun. I think back, like I'm going back a lot to both as a player and as a coach early on, and I realized that the volume of ground balls that you took was so important because you kind of naturally gravitated towards the right positions. It was so much trial and error. But today, where guys aren't taking as many ground balls, unless they know exactly how to do it, they're probably not going to come up with it correctly because they're not doing it enough. So, I hit you 10,000 ground balls. I took 1 million ground balls. Eventually, if you take that many, by trial and error, you're just going to come up with it. You're going to be okay. In today's game, where players have less time, they spend less time in the trial and error period, you've got to keep guys interested. And you know what? When stuff gets tedious, it's hard to keep interest. As you know, especially in young people, right? They want to be interested. And some of this stuff, because you did it 1 million times, wasn't so tedious. But to the modern day player who doesn't play as much, it can very quickly be tedious, get boring, and turn them off. It's tough to do.
Yeah. I just remember when I was in high school or when I got into college, I just wanted to take ground balls all day long. That's just what I wanted to do. Before practice, after practice, I just wanted to continue to do it, or a hitting drill or something to just... the only reason we couldn't do it anymore was because the sun went down and we couldn't see. We were there until it was completely dark, which was fantastic. And then even if we could get time indoors up in the cage at Wagner College, we would go there and we would try to hit and do things up there while, there was intramural basketball or whatever going on. Is,
aside from a bunch of other things, the one thing all the elite players I've ever worked with, it's funny because every parent wants their kid to be an elite player. And then when I tell them, well, every elite player I ever worked with couldn't get enough. Would take ground balls until the sun went down. Would hit until they... And yet, it's hard to get people to allow their kids to do exactly that, which is going to make you an elite player. It's the only chance you have, unless you're born Ken Griffey Jr., to be a really elite player is to do what it is you did. What a lot of guys have done who became very proficient at any position, which is this kind of stuff. And when I start to give it to my players, I realized, wow, no wonder why kids have a difficult time transitioning from novice player to a really good player, because this is a part of the game, although critical, like scales on the piano. You got to do them even though they're boring and they're not fun. I mean, it's like working out. Nobody wants to do push-ups or hit the weight, but if you want to be in good shape, you have to do it.
You got to do it. Absolutely, absolutely. And then even after we were done, when we couldn't use the field because it was dark or the cage was close to us, we would go back to the dorm and figure out a hitting game with a wiffle ball in the hallway. And we would continue to do baseball-related things just to keep doing it. It was a lot of fun. It was a great time in college when we did those things. I remember Todd Scala, working with him all the time. He loved to just be around the game. He was a lot of fun. Kevin Papa, who wasn't even on the team, but he wanted to be out there with us and work with us. It was fantastic. It was such a good time.
But I must say, I don't blame. I know this is where the rubber meets the road, because when I'm doing these videos, I realize, oh man, this is not cotton candy. This is like the vegetables of nobody wants to eat their vegetables. Everybody wants to eat sugar and ice cream. This is the vegetables that you have to eat if you want to grow up to be big and strong.
Yep. All right. We got a question from Victor Coco. It says, Tommy, does a pro need to see the area of the field for placement hitting? I'm not quite sure what that means. Does he give away his intended ball destination? I don't think that's necessarily true. And a lot of hitters hit the ball a certain way. I had a tendency to hit the ball to the right side. I would kill people in that hole between first and second base. So I would get a ton of hits.
I think the hitter. I don't think the hitter gives any. Well, hitters do. Look, hitters have tells and hitters have tendencies.
Of course.
If you're playing shortstop and you see a guy's way behind the fastball and the next pitch is going to be a fastball, you're probably taking a step or two to your left. So I don't know if there's enough time, even if you know where the hitter is going to try to hit the ball. I mean, it's just such an inexact science. If a hitter wants to hit the ball the other way and then you hang a curveball, he's probably going to pull that ball. So I understand what the question is. I'm just not sure. I don't think a hitter needs to see the area of the field where he's hitting the ball. I think he responds. Let's say if we're playing hit and run, no matter what, I'm going to try to force feed that ball to the right side if I'm a right-handed hitter.
Sure.
And there's no secret about that. Sometimes it's more blatant than others, but more times than not, no, I don't think he has to see the field. You go up there kind of knowing where the field is.
Yeah, and I think, too, a lot of guys in a hit-and-run situation, nowadays, they're just taught hit the ball on the ground. So
anywhere, right?
Anywhere. It doesn't have to necessarily be to the right side. Try and hit the ball on the ground. Just don't pull the ball. Yeah. At the highest level, it's hit and run, hit the ball over the fence so we can all run slowly around the bases.
So we can trot.
Yeah, so we can all trot around the bases. So, that's pretty funny. I don't even know if they do that in BP anymore. 2 bunts, get them over, get them in. Do they even do that anymore?
Not much.
In BP?
Not much.
Oh, man, because I know we had to. Everywhere I played, no matter
some
what
teams
organization.
Do. Some
we had
teams
to,
do.
we had to,
some
we had
teams
to.
Do.
And it was just part of the routine. Yeah. That's what we did. And then when you went up to the plate in the game, it was, okay, I got this guy. He's on second base. No outs. I got to get him over. But the pitcher on the other team knew that as well and might throw you inside. So, again, it's a chess match, right? You're playing that chess match. So.
Yep, I agree.
All right, let's take a look at this next video. This is a hitting drill that you put out there. So let's talk about this one for a little bit. Let's watch it, and then we'll discuss it.
So this is a drill I want you to do. Bring it into your repertoire.
Nice, a cool drill.
Once you get about 2 or 3 feet from a wall, the bat in your hand, right? And I want you to be able to swing and keep the bat from hitting the wall, right? So it's there. There. I want you to get in the habit. If you notice what this does is it aligns the bat and my shoulders. It's very hard to do this drill and use your hands. The minute you use your hands, you employ your hands, you're going to be hitting the wall. So it's all body. It's all body. All body. All body. All right? Once you really feel that, you'll start to feel that in your core.
All right. There you go.
So one of the things you have to realize, I know people have taken hitting so personally now. Everybody's, they have their way, and this is the way I hit. All drills are designed to make you feel something. So you shouldn't take drills literally, necessarily, right? It's like when somebody says something, he might be saying certain words to make you feel something. You don't take everything so literally. I'm going to kill you. I'll kill the umpire. Well, that doesn't mean kill the umpire. Well, it might mean. In the umpire's case, that might be true. But anyway, so with drills, it's the same thing. So that's a drill that, to me, it's a great drill for developing the feeling of the relationship between your arms, your hands, the weak part of your body, and your mass. Mm-hmm. What moves the bat with force? What moves the bat with force is your middle. Not your hands, not your arms. Your arms and hands have to be along for the ride. If your arms, the reason why I do it against the wall is the minute your arms get involved, the bat will hit the wall. You will not be able to miss the wall if your body stops and your hands take over, which is the big problem for most hitters.
Yeah, and you're casting the bat.
Right. The bat's going that way. So most hitters have trouble doing that. So if you and what starts to happen is if you do it enough, the bat starts to feel weightless, and you stop thinking about the bat and worry about your body. And now you have a chance to really grasp a very valuable feeling in hitting, which is that the bat is incidental, and you've got to move your body and allow the bat to come along for the ride. If it's the other way around, it's the dog, it's the tail wagging the dog and the dog not wagging the tail. So this is a drill actually I gave to Anthony Esposito because, he's like a lot of guys, especially guys in this day and age where power means a lot. They want to, it's intuitive. If you want to do something fast and hit it really far, you want to get everything involved. Well, the reality is that's only going to make you clip balls, roll balls over, and pull hook balls. If you really want to hit the ball further, you'll have your body lead and have the bat trail and just be on time and have a beginning, middle, and end to your swing, and that'll launch the ball.
All right. You're breaking up on me a little bit, so but hang in there. We're still going good. I was thinking about this, and that drill is really good, and I use it with a lot of my guys, especially the guys who have a tendency to their first move is to throw their hands out like this to try and hit the ball. Right. And then they get long, and of course they drop down, and everything goes up in this direction, and they're all trying to hit the ball 1,000 feet in the air.
Right.
So with that drill up against the wall, I have them do that. Then all of a sudden they get that they have to keep that elbow close. They can't let it get away from their body, the back elbow. They can't let it get away from their body. Now they have to keep it in. Now they understand that connection between their back elbow and their hip. Because when the hip goes, the elbow goes with it. And it sticks right there. Like you said, then the bat drops down where it's supposed to be, on plane, in the zone. It becomes weightless, and they can create and generate that power that we're all looking for. They're going to hit the ball further. So I really enjoy that drill, and I wish more guys would do that drill. The thing is what they do is they have a tendency when you originally show it to them, they do the drill correctly. But then when you turn around and go away, then all of a sudden they start cheating back.
Right.
Because they want to be able to get their hands out. You got to stay on them. You got to watch them. You got to make sure that they're still close enough to get the effect of that drill as they come through. I also like a drill, and I've seen it used quite a few times, more frequently than in the past. But what they'll do is they'll flip a ball to you, and you'll throw your hips, and then you'll catch the ball with your backhand right where you would make contact. Right?
That's great.
So you would come, boom, and catch the ball right where you would make contact.
I love that.
So
I love that.
And it teaches you to keep that hand in tight and keep it on your hip, that back elbow, so it doesn't extend out and get away from your body, where you start to lose power. And then you catch the ball right where you would hit it. Boom. In that position.
I love that.
And, in the power position.
And that's where you can get inventive with all this stuff. You can customize it. It's all basically the same drill. And if you have the same drill 10 different ways, guys aren't going to get as bored. It's funny what you said, they'll start to cheat.
Yeah.
The reality is, what I'd like to see them do is go the other way and get right on top of the wall and try to do it.
And try to
really make it extreme. Now, really make it an extreme drill so that now when you come out and you blend it into your regular swing, you're going to get somewhere in the middle.
I don't want you to hit like that when you go up to the plate. Jump right up and stand right there. It's just for the feel of the drill.
It's a feel.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
And a lot of times other coaches and parents don't understand that. You're showing them something, it's a drill. And you should try and convince the player, look, it's just a drill. All right? When I tell them, when I flip soft toss and stuff like that, and they're hitting it, and I say, hit it into the net, into the net, into the net. Stop trying to hit it, over the fence.
Right.
Hit it into the net. I'm just trying to, this is a drill. When we get out and we take BP and we do other things, when you're in the game, it's a different story, right? But here, I want you to get that feel of going straight to the ball. Boom, get to the ball, get to the ball, get to the ball quick. As opposed to trying to hit everything up and over the screen, and then you're losing all my baseballs. Let's just get that feel. Let's make contact. Let's see the ball, hit the ball, hit the end. Drive it up the middle, drive through the ball, hit through the ball. So
I'm a firm believer that I did a video. I'll send you another video. I did a video. I had Connor Smith. He's with the Indians now, infielder, great kid, super kid on our championship team, and I stay in close contact with him. And in the video, I say to him, no swing thoughts once you leave the on-deck circle.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. You have a clear head, and now you just got to react and make something good happen. Hit a line drive somewhere. See yourself hitting a line drive. If you're up there thinking about how, the reason why you do all these drills is so that once, I call it once the puck is dropped. Once the puck is dropped, you could just now go. Let's go. You never know where the ball's going to be. Guy may throw one up and in. Oh, my God. It's like Mike Tyson said, everybody has a plan until you get punched in the face. Going up there with a plan. When I hear these hitting coaches say you have to have a plan, how could you have a plan? I mean, your plan should be any way I can get a hit. That's what my plan is. I don't want to limit myself to anything, whether it's a 22 hopper, a home run, a double, a little flare into right center field. Let's make something good happen. And so I think it's important. These drills really kind of take up that space in your head that makes you go to the plate with anxiety. So if you do these drills and you've done enough of them, now you walk up to the plate with I'm ready to go. Let's go. Whatever you got, I got.
You're prepared. It's just like anything else in the world, right?
Yeah.
If you're prepared to play the piano when you go to perform, you're going to be fine. Just like baseball. It's all the same. It's all the same.
And you won't always hit the right notes. You're still going to hit some clinkers, and you're still going to strike out. But you've done what you need to do to be as prepared as you could possibly be, and that's what feeling it. That's why I really feel myself like at this point in what I've been doing all these years, I'm kind of moving towards movement. Having more movement ideas than the specific, tedious baseball, spin rate and exit velocity. The stuff that's not organic, that you can't feel. I really want to move away from that. I don't see any great value in that. It's good to know, but I don't see from a development perspective how that's helpful.
Yeah. Danny Ford jumped on. He says, hey, Danny Ford, thanks for joining us. Appreciate
Danny
it.
Ford.
Appreciate it. So I wonder how his son's doing. How's your son doing, Danny Ford?
He's good.
Is he going into his second season at Penn State? Going into his second season.
Yes.
That's good. That's awesome.
Yes.
So
big body.
Yeah. Yeah, he looks good, man. When you see him on the video, he looks great.
He moves well. He does. Always did.
Yeah. I was thinking about that this week too. I was talking about the hitting, and you mentioned it right at the beginning, right before we went into the thing on hitting, the drills and everything, that we're teaching everybody the same, or coaches teach every hitter the same, and there's the fight over all of the, my way is better than your way, or this and this. Look, I take each hitter and I take a look at them and I see what I have to work with, and then I make the masterpiece. I put together the pieces of the puzzle. I don't try to make everybody fit into the same mold, right? Because I think that's Because there are some guys who are big, some guys who are small, some guys who are fast, some guys who hit better when they use more of their hands. And then you get these big guys and you want them to learn how to use their entire body and get that power and drive the ball. And then you have mid-range guys that maybe they can hit with power and you want to teach them that where they drive the ball. Or you have a guy who you just need them to put the ball in play. You need them to just put the ball in play, and I think that that's a big thing that a lot of coaches miss. They try to teach everybody the same way, and some guys just can't do what they're asking them to do.
I couldn't agree more. And I also think one of the critical things that you have to ascertain as a coach, it might be the most important thing, because it's very easy to say how committed everybody is. What is the player's level of commitment? That's what you have to coach to. It's one thing I hear every parent I know says, my kid loves the game, my kid loves it. Yeah, right. He loves it when it's easy and he's getting driven to every game and he has all the equipment. But is he taking 300 swings a day off a tee in the backyard? What is a kid's real level of commitment? Because if you're teaching him in a way that requires 3 hours a day and he's going to put in 3 hours a week, then you're both wasting your time. So you've got to know. I can't inspire a player, and I don't think you can. I can't inspire a player to all of a sudden become a rat and want to play all day, every day. That's got to come from the player. I could talk a good game and tell you how you have to be committed, but everybody doesn't have the same level of commitment. They don't have the same resources. They may have other interests. They may have family stuff going on, whatever it might be that restricts the amount of time that they can dedicate to the game. So, if you have a kid who wants to play the piano, is going to play 7 hours a day, well, then you could teach him, Chopin. If not, then you're going to teach him Happy Birthday and Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star. So I really think it's that academic, and I think that's a critical thing that as coaches and parents and mentors, we neglect. We think everybody has the same level of commitment and interest, and they don't. They don't. And that's okay. That's okay, because as you said, everybody's different. In every way.
Yeah.
In every way.
Yeah, and as a coach, you need to recognize that, and you need to know what you have to work with, and you need to make adjustments. And then in the end,
otherwise you'll be like most of these college coaches who live their lives frustrated, angry, and pissed off that players aren't like they pretend they were.
Yeah, and in the end, right? What you want to do with any player you have is to eliminate as many mistakes as possible. They're still going to make mistakes. You want to eliminate as many as you can and make them consistent with what they do. Consistent.
Right.
Whether it's putting the ball in play, catching the ball, throwing the ball with accuracy, you want them to be consistent. And that's what you're trying to get to. You just have to figure out their specific way of how they're going to achieve that. And too many coaches try to force everybody into that same mold, and a lot of times it just doesn't work. Sometimes it does. Most times it doesn't. So,
it's a recipe for disaster.
All right, so let's move on to the next drill that you did. We'll bring this one up and take a look at this. You don't talk much in this one, but it's a great drill, and let's take a look.
Oh, this is great.
Do you just stand around your apartment all day long doing that?
Drills. It's not easy. For my wife, oh my God.
It's a great drill.
So
this,
you can do to keep yourself off balance.
You can't.
The minute you're off balance, your body's automatically going to find its center of gravity,
Whoops.
and your
Go
look
ahead.
is
You can talk now.
perfect.
I cut you off. Go ahead.
You're going to be settled, and you won't worry
So-
about so much where your hands are. You'll worry about your relationship with your body.
And again,
to
if
the
the player
ground.
can't
Try
feel
that,
the
whether it's a
concept,
2x4.
he's probably not going to own it. He'll listen to you. He'll nod his head, which is what players do. It's what kids do.
Yep.
And then he'll think, "Oh boy, what do you know?" We talk a lot about hitting from the ground up and feeling the ground. The ground is where you get your power from. Well, if you ever want to appreciate what the ground what it feels like to be grounded, and how much and what parts of your body really contribute to, which is your balance, because power and balance are very, very close. If you're off balance, you have no power. So in order to have power and force balance, and the more balanced you are, the more strength you'll have. And if you have a need to feel a position which simulates this, it's getting on something that you're unstable, and now you've got to force your feet onto the ground, and you feel your core. It feels like your feet are nailed into that round foam thing, and you have to feel how your center, where your posture needs to video. My posture, you can't have better posture than that. Why? I'm in balance. Anybody who's in balance is going to have perfect posture because there's really only one position that gives you perfect. Your weight is your chest center, your knees are bent, and the weight is going straight through into the ground. And the more you could do on that, if you could take swing, we have guys taking swings on 2x4s or whatever. Anything that causes you to consider and make your balance the highest priority is a great instructor for how it should feel.
That's excellent advice. I remember when we were when I first joined the Cubs and I went to spring training. They had beams that we had to do our stance on and take swings on. They also had tires. We had to stand on a tire and swing on the tire and do drills off of a tire to get us balanced, to get our cores, to strengthen everything. Like you said, once you jump on something like that, everything kicks in. Anything that you have that, you're used to standing on flat surface, right? But then all of a sudden when you have to balance everything and then you're wobbling around, everything kicks in to steady you. And if you've ever taken any martial arts or any dance classes or anything like that, when you work on that stuff, you get really good at being balanced and being able to control your body, which is fantastic for any athlete. I don't care what sport it is.
And you also get reminded of how you've taken for granted how important balance is and how out of balance you probably are when you take your stance.
Yeah.
You could have the most personalized stance in the world, but if you're not in balance, then you've got to compensate to get back into balance. That's the kind of drill that will teach you what it should feel like when you're up at the plate, where the weight should be distributed. You don't have to worry about, should I have my front foot, my back foot, whatever. You now know you're getting perfect instant feedback as to whether or not your weight is evenly distributed and where it needs to be in order for you to maintain your balance.
Which, like you said, is key when you're hitting. You need to know.
It's everything.
Yeah, you just got to have that feel of where your weight is throughout your swing. The load, everything. When you fire, as it transfers through into your swing to contact point of the ball, even after you release. Because, a lot of times you see these guys nowadays, they swing so hard they just fall right over. But, you get your good hitters out there when they take a swing. They're perfectly balanced throughout. I mean, just watch Ken Griffey, when he hit, or Barry Bonds, or even Mike Trout now when he hits. Boom, he's perfectly balanced, man. When he hits that ball.
Nolan
boom.
Arenado.
All those guys, they are perfectly balanced throughout, and it's strong through. Like you said, when you have that type of strength, when you know that balance in your body, it's like the bat becomes weightless, and it's almost like you don't even have it. I heard
the bat's incidental at that.
Go ahead.
It's like a boxer's. The longer the punch, the weaker it is.
Yep.
Why? Because once you wind up, now you're out of balance. You watch these guys, the most devastating punches happen in about a foot, where they're in perfect balance and they unload and it just whack right on the button. It's the same thing with hitters. When you say keep it short, well, you can't keep it short if you're not in balance.
Yep.
The guys who keep it the shortest are in balance the longest. They don't have to compensate. They don't have to flip the bat. There's no extra motion. They are ready to release the bat.
So Girardi said something tonight because they were doing Trout's swing. They were talking about Trout while he was up, and then he started to compare Trout to Barry Bonds. They both choke up on the bat, right? And then he said it's almost as if both of those guys had just the barrel of the bat in their hand, and that was it.
There you go.
Because the barrel always seemed to be right where it needed to be all the time. So, and the reason being, and I think that this is they were so well balanced throughout their swing that they could control that. And they can control
Absolutely.
it on any pitch, whether it was away, in, whatever it was. Their balance was so great and they had such great control over it. Didn't matter where the pitch was. The barrel was to that ball. And boom, and it jumps right off their bat.
No, I agree.
Yeah.
No doubt. No doubt in my mind.
So
It's not a short swing. It's a balanced swing. It's very different. When you start talking about short, you're putting ideas in a kid's head. Get them on that thing, and that'll tell them how balanced you need to be and how centered you need to be in order to move efficiently.
Yeah, and that's and the younger kids, especially the kids that I coach, 13, 12, 13-year-olds, 14-year-olds, their balance isn't really that great. And all you got to do is have them do that drill one time to point that out to them. And then they're like, oh my God, I'm terrible. No, you're not terrible. You're just, your body needs to strengthen. You need to work on it. It's going to take some time. They don't understand that. Too many kids get out onto the field and they want to be perfect the first time. The first time they try anything. And I'm going to tell you right now, that's not how it works. Some kids are a little bit more athletic, a little bit more advanced. They may get it a little bit quicker, but still, you've got to put the time in, you've got to develop it, and you've got to work on it. It's that simple.
And that's why playing other sports helps, not because you don't want to specialize. Playing other sports helps because you're moving and you're learning how to move. It's not that you're getting time off from baseball, because the reality is nobody plays enough anyway. But if you play other sports, you're learning how to move. A guy throws you a pass in basketball behind you, you got behind you and catch it. You got to catch a ball on the run in football. A ball gets tipped in the air, you've got to catch it with your other hand. These are all things, these are movements that become part of your inventory. So now you can use them in other sports and other circumstances.
Yep, absolutely.
I'm sure this happens. I'm sure this happens to you. This happened to me. Forget where I was. I was out to dinner, and I was facing right. I was facing this way, and my fork fell from my table, and I swear to you, I backhanded the fork with my left hand.
Yeah, and you didn't even realize you did it.
I surprised myself.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, how the hell did I do that? Now, I'm not like a witch or anything. It's just that you're used to moving in that direction, right?
You felt like Spider-Man, did you not?
You did.
Exactly.
You did. I mean, I'm sure it's happened to a lot. All of a sudden it's like, whoa, what is that?
Yeah, like you knock your cup off. Your cup's there. You accidentally knock it, and then you catch it right off the table, and you just put it back.
I'm sorry.
And and everybody's like, "Whoa, how'd you do that?" I've been doing that my entire life. That's why.
Yeah, exactly.
That's why. That's why I've done that a million times. Catching a ball, whether it's hitting a ball, whatever it is, I've done it so many times that it's just a natural instinct. It's not it's become an instinct. And it just happens. I don't do it on purpose. We're not mutants.
If somebody else tries to do that, the knife would impale right through their hand, and they're off to the emergency room.
Well, take a look at people who juggle and do that stuff, and the training that they go through and doing all that. I mean, that's amazing. I watch those guys. There's a couple people I follow online who do that stuff, and they put up videos. It's amazing what they can do, and and we kind of were juggling when we were playing baseball because
absolutely
you had to.
Absolutely.
I
think if you spent a month learning how to juggle, you'd be a good juggler. Why not? Yeah. Catch it.
Absolutely. All right, Webbs, we've been on for over an hour, believe it or not.
Oh, God.
Yeah. So
here's my shirt.
Yes.
There it is.
I love your shirt. Freddie, what's that? Freddie, wait. Yeah, move over a little bit. The other way. There you go, right there. Now you got it. Boom. Freddie. Hugga. Mercury.
Periodic table, baby.
I remember what that was. I went to school one time. So, all right, brother. It was great. Right. The last video you sent, we'll do next week because we got plenty of time. We'll do that next week. The video you sent me today. But thanks for being here. Thank you to everybody at home. I saw we had a lot of people on the watch party. Again, don't forget, you can make comments. You can ask questions. We love when people chime in and ask questions or
ridicule.
Yeah, tell us we're idiots. I mean, we love
Talk
that
about
too.
My head. I do have a gigantic head. But look at this. Look, I just looked at my head. My God, look at the size of that thing. What is that?
I'll tell you what. I shrink it down. I scale it down a little bit so it looks. My shot is regular size. Yours is like shrunken down to like a third. Just so I can fit you on the screen.
Oh God, that's great. So great.
All right, Webbs. I love you, man. I'll see you next week.
Love you, man.
All right, see
Be
you.
good. Take care.